Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and I'm going to show you how to install the Maxxair MaxxShade. What this shade is designed to do is it's designed to go in a pre-existing vent opening that you have. What it does is it's both going to give you lights, additional lighting, if you have chosen the option with the LED strips in it, which I highly recommend. And it's also going to be able to block out any of that unnecessary heat or light from the sun by closing the shade. You can close the shade, keep some of that hot air out, and get some fresh air in through the vents on the side, and it's going to help to get rid of the stagnant air on the inside of your camper. Now with the LEDs on the bottom of our MaxxShade, they are going to be needing 12-volt power, which this is designed to work with a Maxxair fan that already has 12-volt power going to it. It's also designed to work with the fan when it's in use. So if you close your vent, you can still have your fan running. I'll show you a quick example. It's going to help to get rid of some of that stagnant air on the inside of your camper. You can close that off. The opposite side of this shade is going to have a reflective backing to it, so it's going to help to eliminate some of that heat, and you can feel the air being pulled up through these two side vents. The shade itself is going to be retractable, so it's going to be spring loaded, so when not in use it's going to stay in the open position, but when it is in use it's going to have these two prongs, so when you go to close it, it is designed to slam shut. I would recommend lifting up a little bit on it in order to make it a little bit easier to open. Put a little pressure on it and it'll hold right in place. You simply pop it loose to open it up. The MaxxShade itself is going to be white in color. It's going to be a durable plastic, so it's going to hold up well over time. Now, one of my favorite things about this shade, and I did not realize this until I had actually flipped the lights on and off, I love the accent lighting that this is going to give your camper. So if you're getting ready to go to bed, but you still like to have a little bit of light out in your living room or in your dining room like we are in here, this is going to be the perfect amount of light to get around, to be able to see, but not too much to where you can't sleep. Now that we've gone over some of those cool features about the MaxxShade, let's go ahead and show you how to get it installed. Now to start your installation, you're going to start by removing your garnish ring on the inside of your vent. Now, your directions are going to say to remove the 4 screws and to discard them. I'm going to do it a little bit different. What they're planning on is they're planning on the new garnish to hold this old one up. We're going to go ahead and replace these screws after we drill a hole so that the new ring doesn't have to hold up the old one. Now we can go ahead and pull our ring down. Be very careful, especially if you're doing this on an older camper, not to break the ring. Now we need to drill a small hole towards the corner of one of the corners on your garnish ring, and this is going to be for our wires to go through to power our LED light. Now because we're going to be reusing the screws that came out of our garnish ring, what we're going to do is we're going to take our new garnish ring that comes with our MaxxShade, we're going to set it on top, make sure it's nice and even, and you're going to have two different options of holes on the outside or on the inside of your ring. To help keep this garnish ring in place, we're going to be using the inside 4 holes to keep our shade up and in place. So we'll just take a marker, mark our holes so we can pre-drill some holes for our screws to go through. Now that we've got all of our holes drilled in our garnish ring, what you're going to do next is you're going to take this hole that you drilled in the side of your garnish ring, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the new garnish ring and put it on the bottom of it, and then we can take our actual shade itself, feed the 2 wires through this hole, and then wire it up to our power and our ground that's already in place for our fan. So So we'll go ahead and do that. It's a good idea to get an extra set of hands. We'll do that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we wired it up. Now, if you don't have an extra set of hands, you can always grab a ladder, put a small piece of wood on the top, and then you have a elevated workstation. So what we did was we ran our wires through our old garnish ring. You want to make sure the wires are going through your new garnish ring, so you see they're on the inside, and then they're coming, obviously they're going to be coming from your shade. So you'll take this, and now we're going to splice our positive and our negative wire into our positive and negative for our fan. Now, you want to make sure you shut the power off before you do any of this. Now, your new wiring is going to be marked on the positive wire, which is going to be your black wire, for your shade. Your wiring on the inside of your vent, you're going to have to determine what is positive and what's negative. We are fortunate, ours are marked still from the manufacturer. Our red one here is going to be the positive, and our white one is going to be our negative. They do include these quick connectors. Show what to do. They do come pre-stripped on the end, so you want to make sure you cut that off if you are choosing to use the quick connects. Slide it in, and then crimp it down. Then we'll take our little safety cap and snap it in place. Now, once you've made your connections, we can go ahead and tuck our wires back up into our cavity up here. Make sure they're not going to fall down. This might be a little difficult. Just take your time. We need to push our wires up and lift our garnish ring back up in at the same time. We go ahead and replace our screws. We did have a few of our corners get busted out because this plenum here, or this garnish, is a little older. So you do want to be gentle with any brittle or older garnish rings. Now, with our old garnish in place, we can go ahead and take our new one, and it's going to sit right on top of it. They are going to include 4 screws for you to screw this in. Our frame is going to have an aluminum frame, so we're going to be using some self-tappers. If you have a wooden frame, the screws provided should be good enough. Go ahead and line up our holes. You want to be careful not to over tighten any of your hardware. You don't want to risk cracking the new garnish that we're putting in. Now, before we attach our new shade to our attachment points here, we're going to take the wire, our ground and our power wire, and feed it up through as we are putting our shade up into place. Now we take our shade, line it up with all of the brackets, and then simply push it up into place until it snaps into place. Now that we've got our MaxxShade in place, we can go ahead and turn the power back on our camper and test out our lights. Now that we see that everything's working, you want to make sure your shade is sliding properly. Make sure it hooks okay. You see everything's working great. That's going to do it for a look and installation of the Maxxair MaxxShade.